Hey guys, it's PhantomCave here with a very, very, very special book we've got you today. It's the Phantom Adventures collection numbers 1 to 3, 1955 to 1956. All this is embossed. That is like a felt velvety thing style there, and the cover is done by amazing artwork by Wahl. You can check him out on Instagram, Mr. Wahl, down below. All that's embossed on the spine. All that skull's embossed, all the lettering is embossed, and yeah, it's just a very wicked book, and it's very cool to have. The interior is skulls, and then we have a little bit of Mr. Walken, a little bit of Phantom. These pages are all glossy and they're pretty damn good. The issue 1 is Dragon God, adaptation from the 1947 Sunday story, The Dragon God S18. Few had printed the comic strip version of this story 4 years earlier in the issue number 39. Then we've got issue 2 for Maharaja's daughter. Then we've got issue 3, the Phantom leaves his mark. And then in page 89, we have Just for the Kick, a appreciation and illustrated history of the work of the cartoonist illustrator Jen Hickhofer. These tales are to be read that tell the adventures of the world's greatest comic book hero. They've got that right there. So the issue 1 consists of some ex-war criminals in some war, and then, well, I was talking to this guy on Instagram, and he actually has issue 1 of the Phantom Adventures, and he's still trying to track down number 2 and number 3. Yeah, good job, mate. Good job. And so the story consists of war criminals, a dragon god, we should say a fake dragon god that the Wembezi think is a very, well, real god, but in reality it's not. And the Wembezi in the back in the old days, in these comics, they believed in this dragon god, and that took them to, well, they thought they were King Tut. And this dragon god, to me, it looks like an Aussie crocodile. No, it's not an alligator, it's an Aussie crocodile. But it's actually a dragon god. It's crocodile in my thing. But anyway, the dragon god, which is actually men trying to get probably. And the Phantom has a couple encounters with those men, and so it leads him to think that that dragon god's fake, and we all knew that when we started this story, but we still needed that reenactment of some sort. And then the Phantom acknowledges and captures one of the ex-war criminals, which the other one actually dies, I'm pretty sure, in the comic, which, yeah, is not that great. But when the Phantom actually saves the day, like he always does, and see and read more, this is an ad, see and read more of my exciting adventures in the Phantom comic book, twin magazine to the Phantom stories. Issue number 2 is Maharaja's daughter, and I loved this story. I haven't read it for a while, but this adaptation of it was pretty damn good. it takes on greed, it takes on carelessness, and it also takes on some evil spirited people like this guy. And so this guy, later in the story, he reckons that he's hid the great Maharaja. And so we actually find him in a long ago tribe, which I noticed this when I was reading the book. In a couple of the sentences, like, let me find it, like unco, and then they spell the word wrongly or something like that. But that still doesn't worry me all that much. It's just yeah, see, here it is. There's one called Anglo, and back here it's called Unclo with a KLO, and that one's with a GLO. And so Mecca is racing away into the woods, but the Phantom, he can track his damn horse a lot these days, and it was easy to track, he said. And so Mecca gets his gun thrown out of him, and then the Maharaja, Diana actually finds the Maharaja, when we didn't actually know that, as a beggar, and gets him into a hotel, which the Maharaja was very ill at the time, and the hotel manager was not wanting a beggar in his hotel. So yeah, and then with only 3 hours or 1 hour to go, the Phantom actually, well, it's not actually that the Phantom finds the Maharaja, it's a part of where Diana and the Phantom work and coexist in this adventure. And then Diana somehow gets, well, her and her mother get thrown in basically an icebox, a refrigerator. And so Phantom has to save her, and then the Phantom also has to go up to Simbal's castle and fight off these hungry tigers, and that's also where he gets Hero, which is one of Phantom's sidekicks, or we would call it a like sort of helping thingo. And so issue number 3 is Phantom Ventures. It's about an adaptation from Bent Bake Brother, and there's a gang of Bent Bake Brothers gang get out of jail, and then the Phantom is already on his case. It's like we've missed half the story, but we haven't. The Phantom's already on his case. I've never actually read this story before in, well, my Phantom career, but my Phantom collecting career, but I reckon it's very, very good. In all the Phantom stories that you're supposed to read, it has that fear factor that, like, gets the war criminal, like the gang people, like, feared of the Phantom. And so the Phantom actually gets rid of all of them and then saves this person. And then it's a mad car chase to actually get the last one, which is Bent Bake Brother. And then he goes to his not so great hotel and motel or some sort, and then he's actually very fearful of the Phantom right now, and so that leads him to actually put himself into prison, and that's Layden's story. And then he calls out to this police guy, and the police guy throws him one, and then it's all about the police guy gets him, brings him in, and then the police guy sorta gets credit for it when the Phantom actually did 4 or 5 of them and got all of them arrested. And so in earlier story, the sheriff actually gets called nearly every 2 seconds and has to go get these guys. And so the Phantom Layden's story, the Phantom has to try and escape because his wolf devil has been captured, and then escapes, and the Phantom just goes about his business and leaves. They have all those in the older ones. And then we have an article done by Neville C. Bain, extracted from the proposed book Just for the Kick. And so this is like either an autobiography. I can never tell which one's the difference between auto and bibliography. But it's basically the history of the work of the cartoonist and illustrator of Jen Hick, Hick, we'll call him. And it shows his artwork through the years and the century, or decades, we should say. And it just goes through his history of art. And he worked on the Sir Falcon comic strip. I'll read a little bit for you to use. The story, from the beginning, he had drawn and inked his own work. Issue 37 of the Sir Falcon, including the cover, was done wholly by John Dixon. Beneath the Dixon-drawn cover of issue 36, it was a different story. The story was written, lettered, and laid out by Dixon. Kick, who had also always worked alone, did the brush-inked finishes. As such, this was a unique and unexpected collaboration. And then Jen Peter Lodewijk Kick Hefler III, to bear that exact name, and the last, passed away on the 4th of August 1965. To his friends, he would always be remembered as Kick. And so that's what we've got here for today. And so if you want to subscribe to the PhantomCave YouTube channel, go down below and we will have more content coming up to you, coming forward in this year and probably next year. And so subscribe, like, share, comment down below if you absolutely adore and love this book. It is absolutely mint, I reckon. And so comment, like, share, subscribe, and keep on Phantom Caving.